Happy Friday, ladies. Thank you for joining us today for the AIM Women's Mortgage Network's Growth Series. This series is here for you to educate, inspire, and share your progress as we lift each other up to new levels. On today's episode, we are going to discuss the importance of creating a diverse team in order to serve our communities. So let's meet our panelists. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we have Jay Devnani. He is the marketing analyst at AIM. From Florida, we have Issa Velez. She is a realtor and the loan officer at C2 Financial. And from Texas, we have Nike Ojo, the broker owner of Discovered Homes Investments. Ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled to have you here with us today, and we appreciate you sharing your insights. So let's jump right in. Jay and Nike, I want to ask both of you, what benefits and value do you feel an organization receives by having a diverse team? Jay, let's start with you.
Sure. And I'm so glad that you asked, like, this is the starting point that we are talking about, because this is so close to my heart. This is something that I realized after joining AIM, that having a diverse group of people working together who have different skills, who are from different walks of life, is intrinsically valuable to an organization. How? Because it spurs up different conversations. Every single day when we don't go to the office anymore, we work from home, but still when I talk with different individuals from my team, there are still some learning experience that I get from them. And that to me is extremely valuable, because it just does not lift me up. But in that process, I am also sharing something that helps them lift up their current structure and their current skill sets. So to me, having a diverse team who are like all different people, have different backgrounds, have different expertise, have different sets of values, that all in all adds up to an intrinsic value to an organization.
I love that, but I want to go a little deeper. Okay, so as humans, just society, okay, if you go with sociology, in general, people tend to stay within where they feel most comfortable, right? Whatever that definition of comfort is. So I guess my question to you, to go a little bit deeper, is how do we make sure that we understand there's value in having this diversity? How do we make sure that everybody gets that comfort level? And how do you make it so you can kind of, put these pieces of the puzzle together?
As you rightly said, we all have this tendency to kind of just hang around in our comfort zone, right? But that is something that I realized, if I want to learn something, if I want to provide value, I have to make sure that I'm putting myself out there. I am communicating with people. I am trying to make them understand what my point of view is. That at the same time, I am trying to sincerely understand what their, value system is, or what their, point of view is. It begins with me. I have to take the initiative and get myself comfortable with my team members, so that they don't have, again, same goes for them. If they cannot just expect me to kind of just go out there and talk to them. If somebody's different, I get it. It's a little bit difficult to kind of understand what they are expecting, but we won't know unless we try. Sometimes it's as simple as just going out there and saying, hi, what do you do? How can I help you? That's it. That spurs a conversation, and that brings a value to both of us. So sometimes it's as simple as just saying hi to the other person.
You hit the nail right on the head when you said it starts with us. It starts with us. And that takes me right into Niki. All right. You have been phenomenal. And I can't thank you enough for what you've provided within the Women's Mortgage Network, of actually putting yourself out there and saying, hey, I'm here for everyone. I'm going to show you that whether I'm in my comfort zone or not in my comfort zone, this is what I've got. So 2 things for you. One, I want your perspective on the value of having that diverse team. And the second is piggybacking off what Jay just said about starting with you. It appears to me that it did start with you. And how do we get everyone to kind of have that feeling, because there is such value in that? So share your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Laura. And I'm so honored to be here today. I have to really thank the AIM group for all that you guys have been doing. You guys have added so much values to my life, personally, my business life, and I really, really do. I cannot stop talking about you guys. Thank you all so much. I believe diversity brings a lot of value to the growth of a business. For me personally, I love working with all kinds of people, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their religion. And like Jay said, I totally agree with him that it has to start from you. You have to make yourself available. Availability, you have to show that, hey, I'm here, whatever it is that you need from me, I'm here, I'm available to help you. You have to understand these people. And when you make yourself visible, when you are transparent about yourself, it draws people back to you. And then and that's how we're able to grow your force in the community, and also how you're able to grow your business.
I love that. And I think you're right. I think people are drawn to you, right? When you put yourself out there and you're transparent and you're just, you know what, Nikki, I think you kind of put your heart out there. I think from a lot of things that I've seen, you've kind of put your heart out there, and people are always drawn to that warmth, right? So right there, it doesn't matter what we look like or our age or our backgrounds or any of that. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when it's coming from the heart, there is no outer shell of that. Right. That's just a connection. I love it. All right, Issa, we've spoken about the teams, right? We've spoken about the value of growing on the team. Let's dive into a little bit of your business. Now, you had mentioned that a lot of your clientele is Latino, and that even though they speak English as well as Spanish, they prefer to have that comfort. And tell us of the importance of diving into culture within your community to serve and to grow your business from that perspective.
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you a story. I recently refinanced someone, and they obviously speak English, but she had all kinds of questions from her prior loan. She wanted to know why the escrows changed and her monthly payment increased. And I was able to explain that to her. And it was like mind blowing for her. She never thought about it. She never really understood it. But going to her same language, she didn't have to struggle to understand it. She's like, nobody has ever done that for me. Nobody has explained that to me in a way that I could understand it. And I could never understand it because And that led to a bunch of referrals. I refinanced her whole entire family, and even out of state, they gave me a referral, and I handed it back to another partner broker. And it's just being able to help people and to understand in a way that they finally, oh my God, it's like, really? Oh, thank you. Nobody has ever taken the time to explain it to me in a way that I can understand it. So being able to relate to others in Spanish. It's great, it just expands our business, and it grows our business in a way that it's exponential.
Right. And why wouldn't you? Right. I mean, and that's the thing about diversity, is that as much as, yes, we all want to be well-rounded within our teams and our businesses, but yet when you do have that connection to a specific community, of course you're going to serve, and you're going to serve them at their level. Whatever way makes them comfortable is how you're going to provide that service. So I love that. That's great, Issa. Fantastic. Okay. So Jay, you have the pleasure, you work with a lot of different brokers within AIM, right? And you were actually sharing a story about how, you're an engineer, a computer scientist, you have this level of knowledge from a technology standpoint. And it's interesting that I almost even think of that as part of diversity, because sometimes we get a little, overwhelmed where we might feel inferior even from that level. That's also a level of, hey, this person is an expert in something that I feel uncomfortable with. So what have you learned, and what is some encouragement in a situation of even working with someone, and going back even what Issa just said, taking the time to explain and being there as you're dealing with people from all different backgrounds and levels of expertise?
So my whole thing has always been that learning never stops. It never really stops. No matter what I know today, tomorrow it might be relevant and I have to pick up a new skill. So nobody that is an expert right now will always stay top dog in the industry, right? So it always changes. Other than that, when I'm like communicating with my colleagues and I'm like talking about different things that I know that can help them, I always have to understand that it's very easy to sound, rude, or it's very easy to sound just because I have this, language barrier. Like I'm still learning to communicate in a much better way using the English language. So I have to be very cautious. Like this is the same point that I mentioned before. Like if I am explaining it to somebody, it's not just on them to kind of understand it. It's on me, how good of a job that I'm doing. Am I being cocky about it? Am I being rude about it? Or my whole objective is to just make sure that the other person understands. And once they understand, they can come and help me, or I can help them even better. So when I go into that conversation as providing value to the other person, except for looking for something for myself, like minus the selfish reasons, that's when most of the time it works out. So as simple as having that urge to help people, as simple as having that that sentiment of like, sharing my knowledge, because the more I share, the more the team learns, less work for me, and I can focus on something else. I mean, it can be called a little bit selfish, but the whole viewpoint or my goal is to like, go out there and explain what I know, how I know, without sounding cocky, and making sure that the words that I choose are, not rude or harsh in any way. So
and just so you understand, that is 100% applicable to working with the families that we're helping through the mortgage process. I mean, think about it. There's times where we have to catch ourselves that we're not using acronyms and we're not using terms that people, that's a whole nother language, right? That in itself is another language, and that ties into that comfort. And so, Nike, we spoke about culture. So now we understand the importance of having a diverse team. We understand the value of working within these communities. And by having a diverse team, that kind of puts us in those positions of being able to tie to those local communities, right? So how do you recommend building this strong culture within our businesses to make sure that we're cohesively putting everybody on a team that thinks the same and welcomes everyone and is thinking and moving in the right direction in terms of your culture that you're looking to build?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, first of all, you have to make your team member understand the culture of your company. You have to make them understand the goal of your company. What's the purpose of them? What's the solution they are able to provide? And again, like I said, you have to be open. You have to make yourself available. Availability to your team members, availability, have an open door policy so that whatever team member or whoever is going to come to you is comfortable enough to come to you and talk to you. I believe that when your team member are able to see you as someone that is approachable, that it's going to be easier for them to learn the culture that you are trying to pass along. It's gonna be easier for them to learn the culture and to pass it around in the community. In our office, I do have a set rule that all emails have to be responded to at least within 3 hours, and I got that from UWM. That within 3 hours you have to respond to the email, and that's the same thing. That regardless of who you are, I have a diverse team, and they know that whenever we have a message or a phone call from a client, we have to be able to respond to that. We have to be able to attend to that within 3 hours. So that is a culture that we have established in our business.
And I'm curious. Okay, so when you're adding to your team, when you're looking to grow your team, what are the traits, the characteristics, the experience? What are you looking for? What's the most important thing you're looking for when you add to your team?
Their personality. They don't have to have experience in the mortgage business. They really don't. I prefer if they don't even have any experience. So when they come in, they pick up from where we want them to pick up from.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really look out for an experienced person, because when they come in fresh, then you're able to train them the way you want them to be trained, and then they're able to communicate the way you communicate. Because just like Jay said, you want to duplicate yourself. You want to be able to, take the load of work that you do off of your plate so that you can do something else. So now I'm sitting here. I know that back there, job is being done. I know that everybody is on their desk working. So that's just what it is. So I look at their personality. One, if they are people person, and two, if they are always willing to learn. But those are the two things that I look at.
Right. I love that. And you're right. And Jay, you said maybe it's selfish to want to teach them so you can learn something more. No, that's called leadership. So that's actually leadership. So keep doing that. Just like Nikkei just said, you want to teach them so that they continue to move up, so that you can continue to grow and work on next higher level things. So that's wonderful. All right, Issa, you are a master marketeer and networker. Okay, so I'm actually curious from your perspective. Now, we've identified that you have a large client base in the Latino market, and you're excellent at that. But I'm curious, do you zero in on just that local community? Do you go across the board and pretty much open yourself up? Or what's your thought process in regards to that?
I have clients in all walks of life, in all shapes and colors and sizes, and buckets of income. It doesn't really matter to me. I try to connect with everybody, and I'm kind of a social butterfly. I have friends everywhere, and my business is mostly from referrals. From that past clients, friends and family, and past clients that refer to me. And, I try to make everybody feel comfortable and explain everything, because mortgages can be scary sometimes. And, people don't understand a mortgage. So I try to explain everything to everybody in their terms, and figure out how is it that they're going to understand and make it, a smoother transaction.
And that actually leads me to another question. So, and I agree with you. We certainly have to serve our clients and families at their level, whatever that level is. So I'm curious about that. How do you handle, maybe one person wants text messages and maybe one person wants to meet face to face, and how do you handle that with your clients to take care of them, to make sure that you're serving them the way that they want to be served?
I pretty much, whatever makes them comfortable. So some people are all text, especially millennials. I sometimes go, okay, this is going a little bit too long on text. Let's pick up the phone call and do a 10-minute phone call versus a 2-hour text session. But I try to accommodate everybody and whatever makes them feel comfortable. Some people, I've had closings at this exact same table in my house twice.
Wow.
It's crazy. But, some lady, she wanted to close here for some reason. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. That was pre-COVID.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I think that's a very good point to think about also, is that as we're speaking about growing diverse teams, having a diverse market, but yet zeroing in and serving at the level that they want to be. That is so important, that I think the biggest message that we're learning, there is no one size fits all to anything, right? And by accepting and having it start with us first, we will make the difference to the communities we're trying to serve and the team members we're bringing on board. So that's wonderful. Great insights, guys. Okay, we're going to be wrapping up. So I want each one of you to share that one piece of advice that you want to share with everyone, of just something to think about, something to share from your perspective in regards to diversity. Jay.
My message is very clear. Different is not bad. Different, if anything, is good. Because as we talked about this in this conversation, when we get out of our comfort zone, when we meet different people, we learn. There is an intrinsic sharing that happens. This sharing, when it happens, both the parties win. So different is not better. If anybody or anything is different, don't be afraid. Just take it on head on. Try to identify what this is, or try to identify what that other person is good at, and learn, because that's how we all succeed at the end.
And ask those questions and listen.
Yes.
Right? That's how we all grow. Okay, Nikki, what do we have to share?
All right. Well, for me, I'll say be yourself. Just be yourself. You know, right now, a lot of things are changing. Like my market now is leaning towards the millennials. So I've got to speak their language. So you have to understand your market. You have to speak their language. Sometimes when I send text messages and I use some emojis, some of these millennials will be like, really? You know how to do this? So you have to be yourself and learn the new things that's going on in the market. Just be available and be approachable. You know, a lot of kids, they don't even see me as a 50-year-old woman. They just see me as somebody like them. They see me as somebody that speaks the same language as them. So just because I'm a mom doesn't mean that I have to talk to my 21-year-old client like, oh, that's just a child. So you have to treat everybody the same way, with respect, and just be yourself. And sometimes things may not go right. It may not go the way you plan them to go. It's okay. Just relax, take a break, and then start over again.
Well, that is very insightful. That is for sure. You started with things are changing. Things are always going to change. But as long as we are open to be part of that change, then we can roll with it. And you're right. Just be transparent, allow yourself, and give yourself some grace. So that is for sure. All right, Issa, what piece of advice do we have?
Diversity is a beautiful thing. You know, the more diverse your clientele base it's the more you're going to grow your business, and the more profits you're going to reel in, the more referrals. And I believe in the abundance theory, where, you know, I just share wisdom and I share everything, and it comes back to you tenfold. It really does. So, you know.
100%. I totally agree. Don't follow a lack mindset. Always go in with abundance, share, and like you said, it will come back. And that's what all of you have done for us today. And we thank you so much for sharing. This has been wonderful. It really was so valuable. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, everyone, on next week's show, we have a Women's Mortgage Network panel discussion to speak about how we can serve our veteran community. So for all of our veterans out there, happy Veterans Day, because our growth series will be after that. Wish